Hi, honey. How you feeling?
It takes years of work and study to become a medical professional. Doctors, dentists, and veterinarians must learn anatomy, physiology, biology. More often than not, they don't learn much about running a business. For this dentist, help arrived by mail, an ad for a seminar designed to teach business skills to medical professionals.
I increased my gross 29% the first year. And all it was simple management.
He's talking about Sterling management systems. In slick brochures, Sterling says it can help doctors increase their profits. And Sterling has done well itself. The firm reported sales of $19 million in 1988. In sales videos like this, the founder of Sterling uses charts and graphs to illustrate how its program helps medical professionals take control of their practice.
And control equals income.
It's based on a work called Management by Statistics by L. Ron Hubbard. But some doctors who signed up for the course had no idea that L. Ron Hubbard is the science fiction writer who founded Scientology. Hubbard said Scientology is a religious philosophy with practical applications that could improve life in today's troubled world. Hubbard claimed to have millions of followers who bought his programs in order to work their way up his so-called bridge to total freedom. But ex-members have said that instead of gaining freedom, they worked like slaves for Scientology and endured cruel punishments for violating Hubbard policies. And the church reportedly has settled multi-million-dollar lawsuits filed by ex-members who charged they were brainwashed and the victims of a fraud. Critics say that Scientology is one of the most notorious cults in the country.
And that cult is one of the wealthiest, probably one of the most aggressive, and certainly one that damages hundreds, if not thousands of people. It's one of the worst, and it's worldwide.
Hubbard died in 1986, but Scientologists continue to implement his programs laid out in countless books and writings. And Scientology continues to flourish, using front organizations to recruit unsuspecting members. Sterling Management is one of the most successful. Medical professionals tell us that while Sterling helped them take control of their practices, Scientology tried to take control of their lives.
They will manage your practice and they will guide you right into the arms of Scientology.
There are many links between Sterling and Scientology. Sterling is licensed by the World Institute for Scientology Enterprises. Sterling is staffed by Scientologists and gets a commission for referring Sterling clients for Scientology services. And Scientology services can add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I'm sure that when they saw my partner and I walk through the door with 18 staff members, their eyes were lighting up and they heard the cash registers ring.
The owners of this animal hospital were introduced to Sterling at a seminar like this one held in Chicago last month. Impressed, they flew to Sterling's headquarters in Glendale, California for a 10-day course that cost $13,000. There were classes in Hubbard's management methods and practices and a detailed personality test with 200 questions such as, what are your hates and fears? Are you often frustrated or depressed? Is life worthwhile? The doctors were told the test would be analyzed by a specialist who turned out to be a Scientologist with offices at Sterling.
What he is in reality is a Scientology recruiter, because the purpose is to show you how bad your life is, how Scientology can solve the problems, and sign you up right then and there.
The analyst told both doctors that they'd never solve their business problems until they solved their personal problems.
Now that you have this problem, you're obviously looking for a solution. You're in the house of solutions. They have it all. You're looking for the solution, and it is provided quickly. And there's only one solution. It is Scientology.
Scientology is based on the theories in Hubbard's best-selling book, Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health. Hubbard said it was fact. Critics said the former science fiction writer had created a fictional science. Hubbard claimed that physical and mental problems could be solved through a process he called auditing. The objective, getting rid of your engrams. Hubbard's word for what most people might call painful memories of unpleasant events. Experts say auditing combines elements of psychoanalysis, confession, and hypnosis. During his 10 years in Scientology, Jerry Whitfield was both audited and an auditor.
I think it's sort of like becoming intoxicated. And one of the first things that happens to a person when they become intoxicated is they lose their judgment. The person is a lot more easily manipulated. A heightened state of suggestibility occurs.
Hannah Whitfield, who was also an auditor, says people are urged to talk about their shortcomings and misdeeds.
The more one divulges them, and the more completely one divulges them, the faster one's spiritual progress will be.
The tactic worked on the veterinarians when they signed up for a $2,500 introduction to auditing.
They all but praise you for saying something bad.
What do they say?
Thank you for sharing that with me. That must have been hard. You're doing well. That's not nearly as bad as you made it out to be.
While in auditing, this veterinarian believes he was the victim of hypnotic suggestion and imagined that he had been a soldier in a previous life who had attacked a group of peasants.
And I remember crashing my hand down, slicing through this guy's neck and feeling my blade lodge in his spinal cord. I saw this event as something that I actually did. In other words, it was a former life. That experience was living on inside of me, and it was affecting me even now, in my current life.
The next step for the veterinarians, a high-pressure sales pitch to sign up for another round of auditing that would erase the effects of such misdeeds. The cost, $34,000. The pitch did not always work.
When I refuse, there is always plan B, life repair. That's only $3,500 for us more budget-minded shoppers. And I signed up for life repair for $3,500.
But at 2 in the morning, the pitch did work on his partner when the Scientology recruiter grabbed a tape cassette on the table.
He started banging it on the tabletop. And I was already very upset. And it was late at night. And he started banging this in a rapid-fire manner. And it was like, whoa, I asked him, please, stop, please. You don't realize what that's doing to me.
What was the effect of that supposed to be?
He said he was doing it to show me how little ability to confront I had, how little ability to stand up and fight for myself that I had. And what it made me feel like is, I'm just a bowl full of jelly. I believed, based on my experience in the auditing sessions, that I needed to be in control of my life.
And that meant spending $34,000.
At that moment, it meant spending $34,000.
That's incredible.
Looking back on it, what it shows me is how controlled I really was by them. I was not thinking with my own mind.
And what did they want you to do? Did they want you to sign that night?
Absolutely. To pay for this, I signed over my checking account, I signed over my savings account, I gave them permission and I signed over permission to get into my kids' college fund, and I maxed out my credit cards.
His business partner was shocked at what had happened to his partner in just a few days.
He could not make a rational decision. He could not. He did not have that ability.
Former Scientologists say there's another danger, that information given during supposedly confidential auditing sessions may not be kept confidential. Hannah Whitfield told us one way that secrets have been misused.
To blackmail dissident Scientologists, to bring them back into line, to try to coerce them from not speaking out negatively against Scientology.
And when she worked as a consultant for Sterling, she says she learned the same tactics were used on some Sterling clients.
One of them stated that he was blackmailed by the Scientologist.
The incident happened when a dentist put a stop payment on a $36,000 check for more auditing. And what was the dentist's reaction?
He was shocked. He was immediately and specifically shocked because he thought he had given that information in confidence.
Another example, this letter sent by Sterling to a doctor who was demanding a refund. It threatens to reveal publicly that the doctor allegedly makes more than he reports to the IRS and is, quote, skimming around $25,000 off the top. One of the most controversial aspects of Scientology is in this book, Hubbard's policy for dealing with people he labeled suppressive persons. His writings define them as anyone actively seeking to damage Scientology. Suppressive acts include suing, asking for refunds, or making anti-Scientology statements to the press. In a policy letter, Hubbard wrote that suppressive persons, or SPs for short, may be deprived of property or injured by any means, tricked, sued, lied to, or destroyed. Hannah Whitfield says she's been declared a suppressive person. And what does that mean, to destroy you?
That literally means to destroy me physically, psychologically, whatever.
This veterinarian says he was declared a suppressive person for taking steps that ultimately stopped his partner from getting more involved with Scientology.
And that he should wake up and realize that I was a suppressive person and treat me as one, as a true evil person. And I can assure you he did.
Meanwhile, his partner was being harassed by phone calls from Scientologists several times a day.
And if I needed to, I would have to separate myself from the effects of those suppressive people.
And they were telling you to separate yourself from your partner, separate yourself from your wife, and
From anyone who was keeping me away from Scientology.
the owner of Sterling Management Systems refused to do an on-camera interview, but in a letter, Kevin Wilson said some of our accusations are half-truths, lies, and exaggerations, dished out by a disgruntled few. He said the charge that Sterling uses client information for blackmail is ludicrous, and he said that Sterling fired the employee who threatened to expose a dentist suspected of being a tax cheat. Wilson said that of their 25,000 clients, only 5% have been dissatisfied. They were given a refund. He said that Sterling does make referrals to Scientology, and that's disclosed in their enrollment contract. He said that what happens during Scientology counseling is entirely out of Sterling's realm. A spokeswoman for the Church of Scientology says their staff are required to follow Hubbard's policies. She said Hubbard criticized hypnosis and was against anything that dulls the mind. She said members are not brainwashed and ex-members are not blackmailed. She said counselors are required to keep information confidential that's divulged during auditing. And she said nobody in the church seeks to destroy anybody, even if they are declared suppressive. Hannah Whitfield says Scientology almost destroyed her.
I was psychologically and physically devastated, suicidal for the last 5 years I was in the group, unable to think, unable to logically reason, unable to even state clearly why I had to leave.
For 20 years, she was a total believer in Hubbard and rose high in the ranks of Scientology.
If I hadn't managed to get away, I'm almost 100% sure I would have died some way or another.
Perhaps taking your own life.
Perhaps taking my own life. I came very close to it several times.
Millions of people have been affected by cults, and experts say all of us are vulnerable at some point in our lives. They say there's a cult designed to appeal to just about everyone. So what can you do if someone you know is victimized by a cult? Research the cult so you know what you're dealing with. Arrange deprogramming carefully with counselors experienced in mind control techniques. And remember, forced deprogramming is illegal. Finally, almost all cult victims need some form of long-term counseling to help them readjust. Former cult members describe feeling psychologically raped for believing the lies they were told. They often feel overwhelmed by decisions they must now make in the real world. Some adjust quickly. Others need time to heal. All need support from family and friends so they don't fall back into the clutches of cults and cons. For the Channel 2 investigative team, I'm Pam Zeckman.